To me, he's a thug. You know, the GDP of Russia is somewhere between France and Canada. I mean, you know, everybody knows his history, but we got to get him to the table. And I think I've been with President Trump many times, and nothing is by accident. And it's no accident that he's in Alaska, some of the largest oil reserves. And I believe that's part of his mission in this, is to tell Russia, y'all, your play ball are going to shut y'all down, and with the energy, because we'll have the capabilities of fluctuating markets and doing those things. And I'd rather that than American boys and girls die in a faraway land that most members of Congress, although some of them are profiting from that, literally, the war pimps and others, but I would rather them have that discussion, or whether it be an economic situation, instead of American boys and girls losing their life.
Understood. With that said, should we lower our expectations on what happens Friday? Do you expect a deal, a truce to come from this? The president says he's looking to feel him out. And from what we're understanding from President Zelensky in Ukraine, he's not willing to give up any land. No, and I understand that. But eventually, though, America's going to get tired. We've got over $200 billion, you know, and Zelensky's made some comment about not sure where all the money went, half the money went, or whatever. So America's growing tired of it. The world's growing tired of it. I'm tired of seeing Russians send mercenaries into another country. I'm tired of seeing people snatched off the street in Ukraine to go fight in this war. It needs to be put to an end, and we're growing really tired of it, and it's just not happening. And, you know, I have a theory about this. I have a theory of it in America and everywhere else. People sometimes in leadership, you see it in the Middle East some too, they really don't want peace, because if they have peace, then they're not in control. They're not going to be the leaders. And we always have these wartime people, then we throw them out. Case in point in history, Winston Churchill literally saved the world. Saved the world. America got involved, of course, but he was the iron peg out there holding Europe together. And then what happened just shortly after the war was over? They voted him out of office. So, you know, there's a lot going on. And honestly, sir, financially, a lot of people, K Street lobbyists, members of Congress, people's portfolios are profiting from this. Case in point, we sent our missile defense system to Ukraine. We automatically replenished ours in a no-bid, multi-billion-dollar contract. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, from what I understand, some of them have bought that stock up to 2 weeks prior to Joe Biden issuing that executive order. And it's not on Biden, it's on members of Congress that they profited from that because they own stock in those companies. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and it makes me sick to my core that young people and old people too are dying, and people are profiting from it. Well, listen, I hear you, and this is why there's a conversation about stopping insider trading on Capitol Hill, which we could have a whole other conversation about here. I guess when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, though, do you worry that Russia is about to be rewarded for its behavior? I do, but I think President Trump is a good deal maker. People don't like him. They like him in my district. They like him in Tennessee. You know, they said, oh, you're not going to get that big, beautiful bill out. I was one of those that thought it was a little bigger and a little more beautiful than I thought it needed to be. I was the only non-Freedom Caucus member in the Roosevelt room meeting with President Trump. I was sitting 2 seats away from him. And, you know, he went around that room and answered every dadgum question. And when he didn't know the answer, he had J.D. Vance there to answer a question. He had his economic guy. He had his military people. He had some people behind him. And he called on them to answer the question, something you don't see a lot in the media. He didn't cuss us. He didn't belittle us. 2 hours he took with us, answered every dadgum question. And you know what? 4th of July, he was signing that bill. The other one, of course, recent memory, my friend Senator Hagerty out of Tennessee, he had the cryptocurrency bill. And he called me and said, Tim, you know, we're trying to get this thing done, finished up, and get on the floor, get it to the president by Friday. You think there's any chance? And I said, I have no doubt there's a chance. I was sitting in a room. I was sitting right next to Whip Emmert between Speaker Johnson, and we were talking about it. We had some questions. I fear crypto. I fear all this AI stuff and everything. I fear that you got a bunch of men and women that still listen to 8-track tape players are going to be regulating something they don't have any idea what it's about. And the Chinese get ahead of us. And sure enough,
President Trump called, started answering questions around the room. And he did it.
Fascinating.
And he got it. It was on, and guess what? It was on his desk by Friday. So you want to discount somebody, discount Tim Burchett, but don't discount Donald J. Trump, because that guy's a deal maker. I don't know. I mean, you know, heck, if he can handle the Teamsters in New York City, I think he can handle Vladimir Putin pretty easily.
Well, I love the story, bringing us in the room, Congressman, and I know that you're close to the president and you support him and that you respect him. You've also been very outspoken in your efforts to have the Jeffrey Epstein files released, and this is something that you'll take back up, I presume, when members return to Washington. There have been a lot of promises from the administration in different forms and from different people about releasing this information. Do you worry about what it means that it has not come out yet?
I worry that it went 4 years under the previous administration. I'm not worried about Trump being on it, because let's be honest, if Trump was on that thing, Biden would have put that stuff out. Here's my first worry. My first worry of 1,000 young girls who are now adults, some of them have probably taken their own life, that are in there, the innocent ones that were violated by these dirtbags. And anybody that did that to a kid, I hope they're going to be, I'd like to arrange for their meeting in hell pretty quick. Look, I passed some of the toughest laws in the country, ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children. I passed a death penalty for them. It was ruled unconstitutional for these child molesters. Then the state legislature brought it up. Basically the same bill, different court. It's constitutional. I even had a chemical castration bill. Everybody flipped out over it, but it turns out it probably makes a lot of sense. I've held the hands of people that have been molested. Look, I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good one. The Bible talks about how you treat the least amongst you. And on my judgment day, when God asks, how'd you treat the least amongst you? I'm going to say, dadgum, I did everything I could, Lord, because we've got to get to this thing. We've got to nail these people to the wall. We've got to eliminate this. And the number one country in the world for bringing in child porn and all this stuff, United States of America. We've got to clean our act up, brother. And I'm sick about it. We'll go after it. I'm not worried about President Trump being on it. Look, he banned Epstein 15 years ago from Mar-a-Lago, and and before he was suicided. I don't think he committed suicide. I think somebody took him out somehow, but that's just me. So, sorry, I talked too much. I'm emotional about that issue. That's a huge issue for me.
Well, you don't listen. That you just said a lot, Congressman. We only have a minute left. Are you concerned that Ghislaine Maxwell will be pardoned?
No, I'm not. I don't think that's going to happen. I just can't see that. That's why I asked to subpoena her. I caused a lot of hurt feelings, but
yeah,
I think we need to get her in. She might lie, she might not. She's proven lie, she'll go back to prison for a full term.